In this video, we're gonna talk about approvals. And this will actually be first video of a series where I will be showing you example workflow and discussing what kind of scenarios we can address in Jira in different cases using workflows. So in this video, we're focusing on approvals, but in next ones, we will see some other interesting features. This video is part of our effort to provide to you best possible training around Jira, Confluence and whole Atlassian ecosystem. If you would like to support us, subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment if you have any questions, and remember that you can always reach out to us for one of our paid services like training, consultations or implementations. So before we'll jump into the approvals, let's briefly talk about the workflow and idea for this project, Jira project in general. So the idea was that every member of organization should be able to open a ticket that represented idea for the project. So if they had a good idea for the project, they could open the ticket and then it would be processed in the standardized way. So standardized information would be provided. It would be approved by several different people, by the direct manager, by the persons responsible for verifying business cases, at the end by the board of company. And if a go decision was given, this idea was turned into the project. So it was planned, it was delivered, and after delivery was done, it was also monitored. So this Jira project and the issue type that we will be talking about, which is called initiative, the main idea was to first of all create the backlog of ideas from which we could pick which project we want to go on with, but also to have a single place where we can check what is the status of ongoing projects. So if we look at the workflow, right after the creation issue is open, the creator can provide some additional information, and then it goes into idea approval. This is first approval that we'll be covering today. This is approval of direct manager of the person who created the issue. So basically, manager just verifies whether the idea is really worth pursuing or not. After that, some additional information for the business case are prepared. Business case is verified. There is a standardized scoring for the projects. And when this is done, we go to the second approval that we'll be covering today, which is a go, no-go decision made by the company board. And yeah, if company considers idea worth pursuing, they give a go decision and go into the planning phase. And if not, the idea is cancelled for time being. So over here, I have created one of the issues representing that kind of idea. This issue type is called initiative in my case. And for now, it's pretty empty. It will stay like that mostly. In this video, we'll see some additional information being added in the next videos. But you can already see that, yeah, it's not assigned to anyone for now. I'm the responsible person, I'm the reporter, but there are two other fields, manager and board approvers. So manager is a person who is my manager. This is automatically set at creation on the workflow by the post function, and how this field is set can really vary dramatically between different companies. It could be determined by the project role in Jira project, but it could also be determined by, for example, groups to which the persons are assigned, or even information that Jira takes from Active Directory. So depending on your setup on your company, this can be drastically different. For me, it was just taken from the project role of the, basically a manager from this particular project. Board approvers, and this is a person who will be doing the initial approval for my idea. Now the board approvers, this is a bit more complex. Initially, it was set based on some information that I filled when creating the tickets, like which area it is affecting, what is the size of a project in general. And based on quite complex criteria. 2 persons for now were set. Later it can also change. If, for example, when verifying business case, people verifying business case will deem that it requires some additional financial approval from the financial board member, another person can be added over here. And normally this field is hidden for the creators because they just do not need it. I just pull it up over here to show you based on which the approvals and informations and specific actions which will happen. Okay, so let's go on and say that my ticket is good enough to be sent to my manager. I will go into the ID approval. You can see that over here I have some other options, like to go to scoring right away. This is just for me, for the purpose of this video, to be able to just show you some things more quickly and more easily. So I will send this to the approval. And in the moment, right away, you can see that Tom or assignee was set to Tom. Now Tom is responsible to look at this ticket and determine whether this idea is good enough or maybe not, maybe we should cancel it. And now the case is that only Tom is able to change the status from this ticket unless he delegates this to someone else by reassigning. Again, for the purpose of this video, I'm also able to do that. But normally there is a condition on the workflow that does not allow anyone else to change the status of this ticket. So I could request more information from myself, so I won't do that. I can approve idea and go to business case preparation. So I will do that, and that's basically it. So you can see that this is pretty straightforward approval. We are just reassigning the ticket to another person and making sure that no other person can change the status. Very straightforward, but it also works in very specific and narrow use cases where there is only single approval. So there is not a lot of persons who need to look at the ticket and say that it is okay or not. It's just single person. It's straightforward. So we can just use assignee for that. Second case that we'll be discussing in a moment is a bit more complex one. So let me show you the workflow for now. And we'll jump into the scoring. So normally our ticket needs to go through the business case preparation approval. I want to skip that. I want to go to scoring so I can go to the second decision, which is board decision, go or no go decision. So let's do just that. Let's skip to the scoring. All right, so we are at the scoring and now we're going to send it to the board decision. Now, the thing about the board decision is that it's more complex than the approval we had just a moment ago. Multiple people need to look at this issue and decide whether it is worth pursuing or not. In this case, again, to simplify, we just have 2 board approvers, Kaya and Tom. So how to solve that? Because we cannot actually just assign 2 persons to the assignee, right? We could create multiple different statuses and just going from status to status reassign the person, but then one person would just delay a bit with their approval and everyone else should have to wait. What is more, we would have to know from the start how many people will be approving the ticket, because we need to define the statuses for that. And over here, it can vary, right? So based on different criteria, there can be 2 approvers, there could be 10 approvers. So how to solve this? When we will get to the send to board status, when we'll do send to board transition, there is a scoring I need to do. We'll discuss it in one of our next videos. When ticket goes to go no go decision, and now I will quickly refresh the page. There is an automation or actually script running that is creating subtasks for this particular issue. You see that each of these subtasks is assigned to different board approver, And this is specific subtask type. It's called approval. So now each board approver has their own task, and they actually need to look at this task and say whether they approve the idea or not over here. And this is a bit more complex than standard approve or not, because over here we could also request more information. So basically the parent task, the initiative task would also be transferred into the status, showing that someone requests more information and the creator of the task would have to provide it. And except that they can simply approve or reject it. Now the case with this particular workflow, this particular scenario is that for the project to be approved, everyone from the board needs to approve the project. On the other hand, just a single rejection is sufficient for the project to be rejected. In general, in the case that we were implementing this project, it was not a big deal because usually these ideas, these initiatives were discussed on the board meeting anyway, so there was in general consensus. But just for clarity, if project goes on, it has to be approved. Everyone needs to click approve because we want to have this information stored in the history of issues, while reject is pretty simple. One person can do that. So again, and by the way, this approval workflow can also be more complex. So for example, we could handle over here delegation. If a person, maybe board member, is too occupied with approving everything, they could just click over here, delegate. There would be a separate transition where they would reassign the task to someone else. All of this can be handled. For the purpose of simplicity, we're not doing that. And of course, only person assigned can approve this issue normally. Not in the case of this video. I made it simpler so I can show you how it works. So let's have a look. I will approve it. So let me change the status for approve. Yep, I've changed the first task or subtask, first approval issue. You can see that status is still go, no go decision. But the moment I will approve the second one, yep, let's give it a moment, let's refresh the screen. And you can see that it went right away to the planning. So, yep, there was a simple case where we could just use single person as an approver, but also we can make separate tasks for multiple different approvals and then make sure that change of a status on these tasks impact the status of the main issue, and do approvals done by multiple different persons in single step, in single status. So obviously a lot depends on what you need and the complexity of your approval process within your company, but workflows in Jira are very flexible, and with use of some kind of add-ons, automation add-ons like for example Script Runner or Jira Minsk workflow extension, these processes can be really complex on one hand, but also heavily automated, so you do not have to do everything manually. Okay, so that's it for this video. In the next one, we'll continue discussion of different features around or included in this particular workflow. For now, I hope that this was helpful for you in a way that it opened your eyes to some of the things that can be done in Jira. And if you have any questions, any problems, any ideas, or you would like to know whether certain thing can be done in the workflow in Jira, reach out to us, let us know. I'm sure we'll be able to help. See you in the next one.